want to have Blair Smyly under you?
No. Welcome to SEC Sports Roundtable. This is your host, Shane Bailey, not Blair Smyly. If you're watching this on YouTube, we're going to make that correction right this second. Blair Smyly, if you can't tell, Blair Smyly is my other host. Welcome, Blair. Talk for a second so I can fix this.
It's good to be back. It's a big, long weekend. Got a chance to go down to Starkville and enjoy a little football for the weekend, so I appreciate it.
Well, it was definitely a great week for football, and for those that are fans of this show and watch on a regular basis, we want to thank you guys so much for listening in and letting us know you're out there. Had four folks, wish to join our Pick'em thing that we do every week, and so this week I'm a little behind schedule, so I apologize for that. But shortly this week you're going to see two updates for where everybody's standing as far as the hosts go on our picks, and what we do each week is pick against the spread, and we'll go over that a little bit later how everybody's doing. But four guys that have reached out to us, and that invitation's still open. If you watch or listen to this podcast on a regular basis and want to pick against the host and join in, feel free to do that. The easiest way to do that is email comments, COMMENTS, at SEC Sports Roundtable, and I will get you the instructions and the login ID so you can join this Pick'em group with us, and be happy to have you out there joining in. Another good week for your host, but still not number one yet. I've got a little ground to make up, and we'll go over that a little bit later in our podcast. But let's get right into the games, because the only news this week for me is games. It's week two, and it really got exciting. We can save the craziness for the end, or we can just get straight into it and say Arkansas killed themselves.
Yeah, who would have thought that? I don't think anybody. We're picking against the spread, and I know it's a pretty decent number, but I think everybody probably picked Arkansas, even with that high 20, upwards of 30-point spread. To actually see that come to fruition is pretty crazy. And, and because of that, I think today, they went from number 8 to out of the AP, which was the second largest fall of any ranking ever. So just kind of tells you what.
I think they went to 21st in the coaches poll. So they didn't fall out with the coaches, but the AP they went to others receiving votes.
Yeah, so catastrophic loss, and we talked about this when we were talking about Arkansas. You're gonna miss Bobby Petrino at some point. what is he worth? Is he worth a touchdown? With him, the aggressive play calling, the kind of competitor he is, and just kind of game manager. And I tell you what, the wheels came off.
The spread was 30.5 at kickoff.
That's crazy.
And Arkansas only scored 31 points. So if you're looking at it from that aspect, they barely covered their own points, much less covered the spread. You say Petrino, how many games does he win you? But is it really him, or is it Tyler Wilson going out? And what you had a glimpse about how bad they're going to be next year. That's what you really saw.
Yeah, the thing about it is that they weren't really doing a lot. Even with him, that was the problem. I think kind of the crazy thing that I saw was, how do you, when you're sitting there as Arkansas and you're up 28-7, how do you, throw the ball like they threw the ball in the fourth quarter and not run the football and try to run some clock out? That's what I didn't understand when I was taking a look at it. And then, you obviously saw the Allen kid. I think he was 0 for his last 13 passing attempts with an interception. It's just uncalled for. Horrific play calling by the offensive coordinator. Their defense, which is a statement on Bobby Petrino. I mean, he's the one that helped recruit all these guys. I mean, everybody that's on that field is recruited by him.
Right.
But they basically have no linebackers. Their secondary's terrible. In between, who'd they play last week? They played – it just went blank on me. They played Louisiana Monroe, and then they played some other terrible team.
Give me 1 second. I've got
Jacksonville State.
Yes.
They've given up almost 900 yards on defense in 2 games against those 2 opponents. And, I mean, that's the thing that kills you right there. I mean, defensively, my question now is does Arkansas complete the collapse? Tyler Wilson's very slim that he's going to play this week. I mean, he's got a head injury that they're kind of being as secretive as they can be with regards to it. But if he's got a concussion of some type, he's not going against Alabama. And it was just amazing. I know you said you didn't get to watch the game, and just watching that last 4 minutes of regulation, it was just amazing. I mean, Louisiana Monroe, I think they were 6 of 7 on 4th down on their 4 scoring drives in the regulation. On every one of their touchdown drives, they converted a 4th down play, and then of course in overtime, going forward on 4th and 1, which I think was the right call to make. You're not ever in that situation where they've kicked a field goal, and you got a chance to just keep this thing going and try to put it in the end zone. So horrific outcome for Arkansas. Pretty much dashed the whole dreams. But that's what I couldn't understand was offensively when you're up 3 touchdowns with 9 minutes to go in the third quarter, and you don't have your starting quarterback. How are you not running the football with, Dennis Johnson, with, the Nile Davis? I mean, you got running backs.
Exactly.
I don't understand that. And so, I mean, obviously the offensive line is not playing well because Tyler Wilson just got the snot kicked out of him.
By Monroe.
Yeah. I mean, you should have seen the hits. It was unbelievable.
Because it wasn't that long ago. They were
it is the first. They have not had a winning season since like 1998,
but
which was their last FCS. So they were a football championship division.
But I was going to say they were actually a directional school till not too long ago.
Right.
I mean, and then they changed their name because weren't they like a
they were like
northeast
or whatever?
They're still Southeast Louisiana, but there's like a Northeast Louisiana or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
But it wasn't that long ago they were a directional school, and nobody gives a lot of credence to directional schools. And even I graduated from one, so I take a little offense to that. But from that standpoint, though, some of those smaller schools, what it really does is it puts the nail in the coffin for John L's season. I mean, he's done for. He's not coming back. And I hate that for him, but it was a 1-year deal, and he had to get 10, 11 wins and probably peel off a win against Alabama or LSU to get his job secured, to get some sort of extension on that. And basically week 2 he's cost his quarterback, possibly a concussion. Now the big guys, the national sports talks were even talking today, does that hurt his draft stock? And now all of a sudden you're talking about the guy who could have went out this year and been in the probably top 10.
Yeah.
In number 2 or number 3
Definitely
or 4.
A first rounder.
Yeah, I mean he probably would have. Who was the third quarterback this year? Tannehill.
Yeah, probably. I think.
RG3 and Luck.
Yeah, I think Tannehill was it.
Like 9th or something like that. So there was a good shot he could have been the third quarterback taken this year. Where's he going to fall this upcoming draft? Now that if that's the situation and he's got some concussion issues he's got to work through, like you said, the offensive line. And we saw that yesterday, from the NFL standpoint, from our home team, how the offensive line really just didn't allow a running game to get established. But when you're up 3 touchdowns, it doesn't matter if you go 3 and out, because what you're doing is you're able to take advantage of the clock, knock some time off of that clock, especially when Tyler Wilson went out, because he went out first half, did he not?
Yes.
So I mean, you knew that what you had in the cupboard. you knew what you had to go up against, and you knew that Monroe was actually starting to make some progress against you. So what you got to do is change that tempo, change the way that game is being played, and it's not getting any easier for Arkansas because they turn around and get a buzzsaw next week at Alabama.
Yes. Yeah. It's
going to be.
Check out this number: 42 of 67 for 412 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. That was what
Monroe's quarterback threw.
Oh, and guess what? He led the team with the rushing 16 times for 68 yards, I think it was. 69 yards on 16 carries. So, I mean, that's unbelievable. And they were down 28-7 with 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. So, just an absolute horrific collapse. And, from a defensive standpoint, it's not going to get any better. And, do you think CBS wants this game back? I mean, we talked about that. I mean, you talk about 2 weeks ago.
They're kicking themselves they don't have Florida, Tennessee.
Right. Because who knew that Florida, Tennessee, 2 weeks into the year, were going to be 2-0?
Yeah. Well,
and heading into this game, into a very crucial game, and then who?
I know I didn't. I had A&M just playing. We can talk about that game. We'll just go on and do that because that's talk about a tale of two games.
Oh yeah.
I mean, A&M the first quarter and a half looked just impressive.
Yeah. Freshman quarterback looked really, really well, and they basically kind of opened up. And the interesting thing is that we were at our tailgate, and Florida. They were driving. They had just converted to 3rd and 5, where he scrambled around. Driscoll did, and you could see Florida kind of catching some momentum early in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Or kind of midway through the third quarter.
No.
And we ended up breaking down our tailgate and kind of getting everything packed up and got back to the house. And I'm like, Florida won.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And then when I started looking at the stats, I mean, Texas A&M punts their first 6 possessions of the second half. And I saw a stat today that they didn't even make a first down in the second half.
I know that if you've listened to these podcasts and the 2-a-days we did, I was slamming Florida. I was slamming them last week.
Oh, yeah.
But give Muschamp some credit. He must have been hiding everything defensively they were doing because that's what won that game for them was their defense.
And the crazy thing is they won it after they lost their linebacker. Their starting linebacker and their starting cornerback after Texas A&M just ran it down their throat and got up. And I tell you what, and Florida they were on the verge of really kind of losing it, and they were able to kind of gather themselves and hang on at the end of that second quarter to get into halftime. And give Florida credit, man. They made some adjustments on defense, and I mean, they just totally stifled Michael and the other running backs, and then Menzel or whatever his name is as the quarterback. But great atmosphere.
Oh yeah,
I mean, great atmosphere, great big game. But now, they're going to be moving on this week into Tennessee, and I mean, that's a huge loss to lose those 2 starting defensive players and still have setbacks with Powell, and don't know when he's coming back, but. They made some adjustments, and I think Driscoll's kind of catching a little bit of momentum and kind of getting some things done. He still
looked pretty rusty when he was playing, even into the third and fourth quarter. I mean, it was definitely the defense for me that won that game for A&M or for Florida. Let me ask you this: if Isaac would not have came through last week, and A&M would have had that prep game, I forgot who they had, but it was La Tech.
Yeah.
I mean. It's not an easy game, but it should have definitely been a winnable game for them. Do you think that could have helped them?
Yeah, I think it hurts you. I mean, because I think most people say, I mean, you've heard the old term that, you make your biggest progress between week 1 and week 2, whether that's true or not, whether if it's a cupcake or what. But you would at least kind of –
even if you lost week 1, it gave you experience that you didn't have prior to that, yeah.
And I think with the freshmen, I think you would at least know what your team did. He still didn't know what his team did. So, and you're still, Texas A&M, they're still, they've got a new coach. They got knew everything, knew all that stuff. But, I mean, the elephant in the room is being able to finish in the second half with Texas A&M, and that's that's going to haunt them until they actually prove that.
That's a monkey that's been on their back even last season. I mean, they lost a number of games in the second half, and it was a great game though.
It was.
And I was sitting there watching it, and it was killing me to watch. You could just see the momentum and the tide shifting going to Florida's way.
I mean, what a heck of a run that running back makes to turn the corner and dance down the line.
To
get in the. I mean, I'm sitting there looking at it on the replay, and I'm just like, there's no way he gets to the corner. And not only did he get to the corner, he takes it up 13 yards and tiptoes through the. So I mean, it's one of those things where I thought both of the new teams somewhat did. I mean, I thought Missouri started out well as well, but I thought they showed that they were. I think it felt like an SEC atmosphere.
Now,
so
here's what we'll transition to the Missouri game, but I'll make this is my segue to that game. Some of the hype and the not necessarily the hype, but some of the things that people have been saying is that, come third and fourth quarter, you're not realizing what you're playing. You get wore down playing an SEC team. And I don't think that was A&M's issue. But I do think that could have had something to do with Missouri. Because in that late third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, you really saw Georgia take control of that game on both sides of the field. With the other game, with A&M and Florida, I saw defensively Florida making changes that A&M wasn't prepared for. And I don't see that they made leaps and bounds changes in their offense.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't. Unlike the Georgia game where Murray and those guys just took it to them in that late to third quarter and fourth quarter and blew that thing wide open.
Yeah.
But that was, for the first 2.5 quarters, it was a great game.
Yeah, and it was sloppy as could be at the very beginning. I've never seen the ball on the turf as much. I mean, what they do, fumble two times.
See, I missed the first part of that game.
Oh,
Hear him talking about how great it was.
It was funny. The first probably quarter and a half. I mean, they were just all over the place. Neither one of them wanted to do anything. It was the funniest thing. I mean, they were fumbling the football. They were doing everything, just turning it over back and forth. But, I wasn't – the thing about Georgia, well, I think the difference between Georgia and Florida obviously is quarterback play. You got a guy that's been through the fire and Aaron Murray. Even though he still makes some mistakes – as a third-year player, that you just don't think a guy that's got as much time as he's had behind in the pocket. But I think Georgia has a running back that's not going to quit whenever he gets hit the first time, unlike Kroll did last year. I think they've got a little more confidence in their running backs, and I think Georgia's one of those that I think they're just going to lather up as the year goes on. But I mean, I think Missouri found out real quick what SEC defense is all about when
it's
Jarvis
not your
Jones
grandfather's. Isn't it grandfather's football? They learned what old man football. Yeah, they learned what old man football was, and it didn't feel very good. I don't think.
Man, I mean, Jarvis Jones is just he's an animal. I mean, he just had a ridiculous game. But
he was he SEC Defensive Player of the Week?
Yeah.
I think
he was National Defensive Player of the Week too. Or some national defensive player of the week, because he destroyed them. Yeah,
he was SEC, and we haven't got to your guys, so props to you as well.
Yeah.
16 and a half sacks over his last 16 games, 24 tackles for a loss that span, and is leading the SEC in tackles for loss this season. I mean, it's only 2 games in, but still, when you look at that body of work over a season and a half, basically,
and they still don't have some of their players, so they're still getting some of those guys back. Ogletree and I don't think Rambo played. Did Rambo play? Yeah. So I mean, they haven't even got those guys back yet.
And that was everybody was wondering if he was going to play with the suspension game and not hold those out. And I give Rick some credit for I mean, that's a big game to set them out and to do that early and to come out and do what they did to Missouri. It's I don't think it's good news for South Carolina.
South Carolina, they got their own. I will say this: I thought it was pretty I thought it was pretty cool that the defensive tackle, the Sheldon Richardson or whatever his name was, he actually personally apologized on the field after the game to Mark Riggs. So I saw that in the paper today where they were shaking hands.
Oh, for his quote?
Yeah, for his quotes. I thought that was pretty. I mean, that's a pretty easy place to kind of just tuck and kind of go to the locker room and just kind of get away from it. But he actually did go and do that. But I also thought it was funny that the Georgia fans were chanting "Old Man Football" in the last 3 minutes of the game. So that was quite humorous.
Well, you think they're going to think twice about giving any bulletin board material in the SEC?
Yeah, it was not a good choice.
No, it wasn't.
It was not what you wanted to do.
And let's talk about South Carolina. You saw Connor Shaw set out one more game. Do you think he's going to be back next week?
I actually shot an email to my brother-in-law Mark today, and he said he might not be ready till Missouri. So
that's 2 more weeks.
I think 2 more weeks. So I think that's a little bit of a risky deal. East Carolina is obviously terrible, and they got to throw it around. I think Spurrier liked it because he got to. This guy wasn't a running threat like Shaw is.
Yeah, he's more of your drop back. He throws the ball. He's the prototypical Spurrier quarterback.
Did you see Spurrier's comment afterwards where he?
No, what'd he say?
He looked at the stat sheet in the post game conference and he goes, "We had 50 offensive plays in the first half. I bet that coach up in Clemson would have liked that." which is fantastic because obviously the hatred with South Carolina and Clemson's up there. So. But I think South Carolina, they're just defensively, they're just going to be a juggernaut, and I think it's going to line up for that Georgia game.
No, but I will say what really helped them is Dylan Thompson having East Carolina to play this week because that really got him comfortable. I think this week they were able to put a lot of things in that they didn't have in the game plan last week. His stats were pretty impressive: 21 to 37 for 330, 3 touchdowns. I don't think he had a pick either. So
yeah, solid performance for a guy.
For making his first career start, you gotta love seeing those kind of numbers from that guy. But you worry how long they're going to be able to perform with him as their quarterback because last year I think South Carolina did as well as they did were able to do because of Connor Shaw.
Yeah.
He won them games that I don't know if Dylan Thompson can yet.
Yeah.
And it's just youth. And that doesn't mean that Dylan's not going to be a great quarterback for South Carolina. It just that right now I think Connor Shaw still gives them their best chance to win. So next week, who do they have? Do you know? I know we'll talk about it in a minute, but
off the top of my head, I cannot think.
I can tell you I've got it right here. Oh, here it is. South Carolina's got Birmingham. UAB.
Yeah, that'll be an easy one.
So another good matchup. So you got to think that if there's any issues with Shaw, they're going to definitely keep him out just to be safe when you've got somebody like UAB up on week 3 because that's going to give him just one more week to get healthy because they're going to need him close to 100% if they're going to make a run deep for the SEC East. What about who? We're just piling through these, and I'm looking down, and I think we're just piling through them, but we're already almost 30 minutes in, so maybe we're not. LSU.
Oh man, that was they needed several more of those Tigers in practice for Washington, didn't they?
Yeah,
that was ugly and got real ugly real quick. And I think the highlight of the game was that Tyrone Matthew was there at their little Tiger Walk and was in the stands. And they kept showing him on TV, which I thought was kind of interesting. But Washington just completely outmanned and outmatched. It wasn't even a contest. What ended up 41-3.
Yeah.
I think 2 running backs running over 100 yards. It's just the defense for LSU is just too big, too fast, and that poor quarterback for the Huskies, he was struggling real quick. So there's not much to write home on that. That was a mismatch from the get-go.
Yeah, well, and what I wanted to see out of that game, and I think I mentioned this last week when we were doing the podcast, was that you wanted to see at least a BCS-type opponent and see how well LSU did because my concern was that their first week's performance against North Texas, it was just North Texas. So what were you going to see when they actually had some players of similar size and build that you're going to get on a BCS type conference? And they proved everything we were thinking, that it's going to be between LSU and Alabama for the West title right now. Your Bulldogs are looking good, but I don't know if they're quite there yet. But there's not a lot to say about that game.
Yeah.
They just controlled that game from the very beginning, and never looked back, and were always able to do everything they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, when you got the defense that LSU has, I mean, they just rolled them out. I think Washington had, when I was taking a look at this, less than 200 yards total offense, 183.
Yeah, it was 23.5 point spread, and it was 41-3.
Yeah.
So they covered this week might handedly, but they didn't last week. So they're making up for that with Vegas. Now the other team we just mentioned, though, it was Alabama. Yeah. Did you get to watch much of that game?
I did not.
Yeah.
It's your alma mater, and my wife's alma mater.
And we're not talking about Alabama.
Yeah.
We're talking about Western Kentucky.
Supposedly Alabama didn't really play that well. I mean, kind of.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because you were hearing how on Twitter, I was following Twitter along, and they were talking about how dominating the performance was by Alabama. I hope they were just seeing some highlights and some scores, because what I saw was a Western Kentucky team that was able to move the ball against Alabama. What you really saw was how their size, how Alabama's size and experience pays off, because they made some stupid mistakes. I mean, some bad turnovers that resulted in 14 quick points to Alabama. I mean, there was one, the second turnover was one play, and it was an extra 7 points on the board.
Yeah.
From McCarron. I think it was like a 28-yard pass. So, I mean, when you're Western Kentucky, you cannot have those type of mistakes and expect to be in a ball game. Now, I say that they were still in the ball game.
Yeah.
It was 21-0 going into the half, and it realistically probably should have been 14-7.
Yeah.
And so, from a moral standpoint, I don't think Western should have any problems hanging their head high against the performance they put on Alabama. Even though they were held scoreless, they had some silly mistakes that cost them some points on the board. But you saw them were able to pass the ball. Their defense had some good plays against Alabama, but you really saw Alabama's size and experience and why they're a number one team in the country.
Right.
And you also saw a team that didn't cover the spread.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, they I kind of
because
saw
of that.
Yeah, and then also Fowler, the running back, that Jalston Fowler for Alabama, that is the big number 45, big huge sucker. And if you watch
should be like a fullback type.
Yeah, the Michigan game, he's so athletic. He got injured and looks like he's having a little knee surgery and possibly out for the year. So that's a big loss for them, because he was garnering some playing time there, that they were able to do some things with him that they really couldn't do with Lacey and of course T.J. Yeldon, just a completely different back. But I think he's a guy that doesn't show up on the stat sheet a lot.
He's more of that power runner that you're not going to.
But he's
run
very
over people.
athletic and has some speed for the size that he is. So I think that could be a kind of a hidden loss for him in the future. But I mean, that's about it that came out of that deal.
All right, now I want to talk about a game that to me was probably the biggest surprise, aside from Arkansas, and I'll have to give that one. That was the biggest surprise, but you had their starting quarterback go down, and that had to hurt them in the long run. But to me, one of the biggest surprise games was Northwestern Vanderbilt. Living in Nashville, I guess I bought in too much hype because James Franklin, the coach, had me believing that they were a better Vanderbilt team. But to go 0-2, going up to Northwestern, and just because the field gets sloppy in the fourth quarter, that's no reason to get blown out at Northwestern. That's a game that you look at from a Kentucky fan standpoint and say, thank God we got a chance now.
Yeah.
Because if they lose to Northwestern, that's the same as Kentucky losing to Louisville.
Yeah.
Actually, it's worse.
Yeah.
I mean, Louisville's top 15, top 10 right now.
Yeah, Northwestern's not terrible, but Northwestern,
but they're not
also,
a top 25 team, are they?
No,
I mean,
no.
I can look it up here and see. Keep talking, I'll look.
But I think Northwestern.
They're way down on others receiving votes at 9.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean the thing about Northwestern is that they've had this history over the last year of not being able to close out games, and they almost did it against Syracuse, but they ended up kind of coming back to.
But Syracuse ended up pulling that one out.
Right, and so that was one of those deals where, Northwestern is one of those guys. No, Northwestern ended up winning that one, right?
Oh, big time.
No, I'm talking about
the Syracuse game. Yes.
Syracuse came all the way back.
And then second kite play at the fourth quarter late, Northwestern won again. Took the lead.
I mean, it just seems like they weren't able to run the football well. From what I saw, I didn't get to see any of the game, but they weren't able to run the football. And what was it, a 10-6 ball game going into halftime? So it was a strange game. You would think that with Vanderbilt and Northwestern, you thought that points would probably be put on the board a little bit, and for them to just kind of lose the game like they did in the last fourth quarter, and kind of get it, I guess, pushed away and be a 23-13.
Yeah, I mean it's like 13-10.
Yeah.
Going into the fourth quarter.
Okay.
So they scored like 13 points, and I'm going straight from memory there.
But yeah, obviously. That's not the start that Vanderbilt needed.
Okay, they took the lead with 9:28 left in the game at 13-10. So they were behind 10-6.
Right, yeah.
With 9:28 left. So there was 10-6 with 9:28 left, and Northwestern finally takes the lead in that game. So you've got less than 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then
they put an additional 10 points on the board.
So they put 16 points on in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
And see, that was the question that we had with regards to, when we talked about Vanderbilt and those things, and I remember listening to the podcast with Chad. Obviously Chad's a diehard Vandy fan, so he obviously knows more than what I would know. But, that was probably a question that we all had when you lose a Chris Marv and you lose – the cornerback that they had. You had some pretty important guys on defense that were very tenured, very experienced defense, and you lose those guys. You got some talent that's going to be there, but it's all inexperience. How's that's going to work? And then getting 16 points on you in the last 10 minutes is not a good deal. And obviously your offense didn't help you out.
No, I think Jordan's little brother went 17 to 33.
Yeah.
For 217 yards. Yeah, he's got to pass the ball better. He's got to make better throws. He's got the arm strength. He's got the know-how. He's got the intelligence. It's just he's making bad passes.
Well, I know you probably don't have it in front of you, but their schedule. They play Presbyterian this weekend, so you're going to get them a W. But they've got at Georgia, at Missouri, I think the next 2 games after that, if I'm not mistaken.
We'll tell you in just 1 second here. Keep talking.
I want to say Auburn's in there at home somewhere after that. They got 4 tough games after Presbyterian, so it's one of those deals where.
Here we go. They go Presbyterian at Georgia, at Missouri, hosts Florida, hosts Auburn. Then they get a cupcake with Massachusetts. So now you're looking at 1, 2.
That's 3 losses right there.
Yeah, so they're 1 and 2. We're going to give them Presbyterian today. Now 1, 2, 3.
5 losses.
3 losses for sure. 3 more losses. So you could be 1 and 5, possibly 1 and 6, or going into the Auburn game.
Yeah.
That's for a program we were talking about getting 7-8 wins.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
And we'll get into this, but that's the kicker. It's one of those things where for somebody to move up, people got to fall back to the pack. And, now all of a sudden, I think after 2 weeks, we can legitimately say South Carolina and Georgia are kind of who we think they are. Georgia's still got to get its players back. South Carolina's got a quarterback issue. But Tennessee, Florida, we think is probably better than what we thought they would be. Maybe Florida's got a little get to come around on the offensive side. and we still don't know, but we're 2 weeks into this thing. I think we could say Tennessee's better than we thought they would be.
I think so,
to this
yes.
point.
I mean,
to this point. We got to be all relative to this point.
I'm one to never want to give Tennessee praise. And
so, but I mean, I'm sitting there going, where Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt made that 6-6 last year with a Florida team that went 6-6 and a Tennessee team that went 5-7, right?
Yes.
So, and a Kentucky team that wasn't, that wasn't that good. And so,
thanks.
You're
right. No, it wasn't.
So, I mean, they had the ability to
offense that wasn't that good. Well, because they had a good defense.
Right, exactly. But I mean, it's just one of those deals where, when Georgia and South Carolina are still kind of the cream of the crop in the East, and then you add in a Missouri, who I think is a legitimate team in the East. I think they're kind of the middle way.
They are definitely at least middle of the pack.
And then you got Tennessee and Florida, who are uptick from last year. Where's Vanderbilt going to go? They got to play all those guys. So that's something to be seen. So.
And that's the same type of –
not the start that they needed.
That's the same type of issue you, as a Bulldog fan, always has to fight as well.
Yes.
But, you look at Vanderbilt's schedule, and at the beginning of this we had, like you said, Chad on. He had us convinced, I think. He gave him and Franklin, I guess they need to be preachers because I was buying into these wins. I mean, he was giving me wins against South Carolina, which I had some doubts against. He had them beating Northwestern.
I think we can attest to that they put all their eggs in that basket. I mean,
the South Carolina basket,
and you should, right?
Yeah, that was, and I think Franklin even said this is our bowl game.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I think that is one of the things that they put so much in there. Have a pretty controversial call there at the end with a pass interference that should have possibly gone their way. And then you kind of get this little lapse, and now you got to go on the road to a Big Ten team that you go, you know what, I'm Vanderbilt, and I went 6-6 last year, and I've tasted a little bit of deal, and I've got a coach that's got So did they get into the game and not kind of not handle the success?
So much of a letdown from the loss of South Carolina that it carried over.
It's one of those things. I mean, do you get blown out by South Carolina, and then you're able to kind of just put it away and then go up to Northwestern with a different mindset? Who knows? I mean, that's kind of what Vanderbilt's done before.
But now you've got an 0-2 hole. I mean, and you're getting ready to go to a 1-5 hole, and so now you say that they've got to find 5 more wins in the last half of their season. Auburn, maybe the way Auburn's playing.
Yeah.
Kentucky, I'm sorry. Not get ahead of myself here. Auburn's a win, so that'll get them to 2. Massachusetts is 3. Then they have Kentucky. So
either way. I mean,
either way now, I would have given them that win before yesterday.
Yeah.
But and we'll talk about Kentucky in a minute. But their defense looked a lot better. I know it was only Kent State.
Yeah.
But you said improvements between game 1 and game 2. Offense was kicking.
Yeah.
I mean, clicking. There was lots of things to be happy about as a Kentucky
and they got
fan.
Ole Miss, but Ole Miss.
I mean,
they're going to be able to move the ball.
UTEP beat. Who did they beat last week?
No, they played Oklahoma.
Oklahoma close.
Tight, yeah.
They played Oklahoma close the whole game, and Ole Miss kind of handled them pretty easily.
Yeah, pretty easily.
So, the Kentucky game and Mississippi game's now a toss-up. Tennessee, I'm not going to give them that one. Wake Forest. So they're going to have to beat Kentucky, and they're going to have to beat Mississippi. They're going to have to beat Auburn.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can beat all 3 of those or 2 of those 3 to get there.
I think that's going to be interesting, this thing to kind of play out. But
it makes me as a Kentucky fan much happier about my season.
Talking about Kentucky, man, that was a big win for you. For a team, for somebody that I think out of this weekend, I think Arkansas couldn't afford to have happen what happened to them. I think Kentucky needed that win. They needed the win in the fashion that you got the win.
Yeah, Kentucky needed some excitement.
They did.
I mean, you listen to the broadcasters, and they still have the same line up in Lexington, and it's that Mitch Barnhart, their AD he's behind Joker Phillips. I mean, and Joker's a good guy. He's a great coach, great recruiter. It's just you had they kind of put all their eggs in a basket, and you had them all leave in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so your cupboard's a little bare last year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And so, this year we've made some strides, got the offense back. Lerod King, where's he been all 4 years of his career at Kentucky? I don't know, but I'm glad he showed up yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, he made some tremendous catches. Maxwell Smith was very accurate.
Yeah.
I think 30 of 39, 300 and some. I'd have to look it up. I'll look it up here in a second. But well over 300 yards, 30 pass completions on 39 attempts.
354 yards.
Yeah, so, I mean, he was accurate. The running game was respectable. We had Raymond Sanders.
115 yards on 13 carries. That's a pretty good average. 8.8.
And yes, it's Kent State, but, you want to see an SEC team have big numbers against those type of programs because you need that for confidence. You need that to run things. You basically have to treat that like a real-life scrimmage that you didn't have that you get to hit people.
Yeah.
So that's what those games amount to when it's early in the season. You've got those type of programs, and after Louisville, Kentucky needed a win like that. And I know the crowd was not what Kentucky fans wanted to see. It was pretty light showing up in Commonwealth, but you get another game or two like this under the Kentucky's belt, you're going to get the fan support back and get some momentum behind keeping Joker Phillips because there's a lot of good that's still there because that's a young team.
Yeah.
I mean, defensively you saw some good plays, some strong defense, limiting Kent State to defense. They held them to 14 points. First quarter was a little suspect. I was going, oh gosh, it's going to be one of those. But they settled in, started doing what they needed to be doing, and now all of a sudden it's what we wanted to see. So, as a Kentucky fan, it's kind of exciting. Now I'm not looking forward to next week's game, not in the least bit, because my loyalties are somewhat split.
Yeah.
And last year they had trouble scoring against Western because they go to it's at Lexington again.
So how did you appreciate Willie Taggart's comments today that he ended up having to apologize for?
I didn't see those.
Where he said that most of the students that are in Western Kentucky probably are there because they couldn't get in the University of Kentucky.
Oh, did he?
And he misspoke in how he was trying to communicate that. Basically what he was saying
I will tell Willie Taggart, he graduated about the same time I did. I had an acceptance letter to both those schools, so he kiss my you-know-what.
I think he was harping on the fact that they have students that walk around campus with the University of Kentucky
gear on.
So, I think he was kind of making that comment that it's the state school that people want to go to for the most part in the state of Kentucky, and Western is. It was
a little too close to home for me. I mean, Lexington was in my backyard. And I wanted to, go be my own man, and so I had to go directional to do that.
I thought it was humorous, and then he had to apologize for it about 2 hours later. So,
well, 2 hours, that was you would expect to be quicker than that. But he is right though. I mean, I was a Kentucky fan. I mean, I rooted for Kentucky, except when they played Western. And let's be real, in basketball they always have a shot because Western Kentucky has a decent basketball program. I mean, if you look, they're probably top 10 in the nation in total wins. They're up there with North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas. I mean, if you look at it that way, they've got a storied basketball program. Let's face it, they just went to Division I 4 years ago. Time's escaping me, but they just became a BCS conference, or joined a BCS conference just a couple years ago. So, what do you expect? These guys, it wasn't the same type of football program. So, of course, you're going to grow up loving Kentucky, and Western could be in your backyard, so you're going to go to Western.
Yeah.
So I do understand where his comments, if that's the way they were intended, and they probably were. But
I found it humorous. My wife's from Western, so I just thought it was humorous.
I didn't hear that, and we got way off on a tangent that nobody cares about. So we apologize for hitting that rat hole. We generally don't care about going down rat holes, but I know no one cares about that one except Western fans. So a big shout out to Charles Bledsoe.
There
right?
You go. That's right.
Anyway, so who else do we have that we've not talked about? Because I had a script and we didn't follow that by any stretch of the imagination. Did we talk about Auburn?
No, I don't think we. I think that's the only one we got left is State and Auburn, which was.
And we'll save State for last. Oh wait,
Auburn. Well, that's who we played.
That's And
if you're an Auburn fan, you're not a happy person right now, because that was terrible.
Terrible.
That was, as Charles Barkley would say, was terrible. I mean, as a Mississippi State fan, I mean, obviously, I think biggest win in Dan Mullen's tenure. Won a SEC opener for the first time since 1999, so 12 years. Broke that streak. He won against another Western foe other than Ole Miss for the first time. And like we said, the schedule set up if we actually started off and got past this Auburn win. And, and I talked about it last week. We always play these weird games against Auburn, and it started out that same way. Stupid penalties, early turnover that gave them 3 points. Then you get the lead to go into halftime and come out, and they run the opening kickoff the second half back 100 yards to go up 10-7. And I'm sitting there going, you got to be kidding me. And then Tyler Russell becomes what we have never seen at Mississippi State, which is a guy that can roll out and throw a laser to the back corner of an end zone and throw 3 touchdown passes and get, like you were talking about, get SEC Offensive Player of the Week. Guess when the last time we actually had a quarterback get the SEC Player of the Week, Offensive Player of the Week?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
You're not even going to remember. Sleepy Robinson, 1991, 21 years. That's how bad the quarterback position has been at Mississippi State. So it's pretty interesting. So we've set ourselves up to where, we now go 2 non-conference games that we should be able to take care of business. We go on the road to Kentucky, which we'll be favored in.
That's week 5.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know. I think we actually have a bye week after the 4th week.
Okay.
And so I think it's week 6. But I tell you what, Shane. The most impressive thing, if you watch that football game,
it's the 6th game on Kentucky's schedule. So,
and I think the biggest thing that I came out of that, number one, Tyler Russell has matured a ton. We can run the football. We've got 4 running backs that are averaging over 5 yards a carry in 2 games, and we have a defense that's going to be pretty salty. They basically knew every play. Auburn was petrified to throw the football. And when you have 2 cornerbacks like Mississippi State has in Slay and Banks, I mean, he throws seven passes and 3 interceptions in the first 7 attempts. And Auburn they could not do anything. They ran 2.3 yards a carry is what they averaged, and they literally ran it the whole day. He was 1 for 7 for -2 yards in the first half in passing. And you want to hear an unbelievable stat?
Bring it on.
Guess what Mississippi State's defense is? Teams are averaging per rush inside the red zone in 2 games against Mississippi State. 0.6 yards a carry.
That's stout.
Dude, it's unbelievable. So, I mean, that's what I saw going into the season was I think our defense was going to be so consistent, and the ability to put 2 cornerbacks like the cover cornerbacks that we have. I think Jonathan Banks showed on Saturday that he is the best cover corner in the country. I mean, he's the All-American that he's gotten all the publicity, all the 12 publications or whatever at the beginning of the year. He's going to be a top 20 draft choice. And he's 6'3". He is now the active career leader in interceptions with 14. So it's just it was a big win for State, and I've never seen that stadium, outside of the Egg Bowl, just because it's so important that you get to sit there and and enjoy a win, but nobody left that stadium because, I mean, it was the bag man, dude. I mean, it was Auburn. It was this thing that's just become this real hated thing over the last 3 years. And so it was pretty cool to kind of sit there because nobody left that stadium. They wanted to wait till the sucker hit all zeros, and it was the game they talked about forever. And they finally got over that hump. But I really like what Mullen said after the game. They, all the media kind of brought the monkey
number
on
one.
Well, they talked about getting the monkey off his back. And he goes, we all view it as me getting a monkey off my back, and I view it as a bigger monkey just jumped on. And because I think he senses that we've won the Auburn game, the schedule sets up that if we take care of business, we're going to be sitting here with Tennessee coming in, who could be a
top 10 team.
Could be a 4-1, 5-0 team.
Possibly, yeah.
In that ballpark, or a 5-1, and could be a huge showdown. If you get through that, I think with what's happened, it's an opportunity. And like we talked about, when State for the last 3 years has been fourth in the West behind three juggernauts. Well, really fifth. I mean, if you count, that's what I meant, fifth in the West behind Auburn, Arkansas, LSU, and Alabama. I think we can all prove that LSU and Alabama are the real deal, but I think we're actually seeing Auburn and Arkansas might have a little bit of chink, and that's where for Mississippi State to go up, somebody's got to fall back to the pack.
Yeah, and so now all of a sudden you set in position where you could be number 3 in the West, and that sets up that you have a shot at something big, because it just takes it, because everybody's going to beat up on each other in the West. Looking at Tennessee's schedule, they've got Florida and Georgia. I don't think they can beat both of those.
And they got a bye week before us, right?
No.
Or is it a bye week before Georgia?
Well, it doesn't. This doesn't list byes. I'm sorry. Yeah, the 29th is Georgia. Then they don't play you till the 13th, so that's 2 weeks. So yes, they do have a bye week between Georgia and you guys.
Bring up this Auburn. Gene Chiswick's in some trouble.
That's where I was going before you took me down that road.
You want to hear a crazy stat? And if you have a chance, if you're reading this, I know Kevin Karbinski with the AL.com, obviously huge Alabama writer down there in Birmingham. He basically took him out to the woodshed. An hour after the state game. But one of the stats, I haven't really paid attention to Auburn. The last 3 conference games, last 4 out of 5, and last 5 out of 7, they have lost by at least 18 points. They are 8-7 in their last 15 games, which I'm not even paying attention. But, last year they started off and they had all those hiccups at the beginning with us and Utah State or whoever it was that they were playing.
Last year,
won those games.
They
right?
surprised. They won games they shouldn't have season last season.
At the beginning, though, because
they even won some late.
When Clemson kind of came through, Clemson kind of just took them out to the woodshed, and then that defense kind of went crazy. But Karbinski said, this is the 4th year in the 4th recruiting class, and Auburn. If you watch that game on Saturday, the thing that jumped out to me was Auburn sitting there. They've had top 15 classes recruiting the last 3 years, or at least the last 4 years under Chiswick. It's been big-time recruiting classes. And when you watched Mississippi State and Auburn, we whipped them on every position on the field. We absolutely whipped their tail on every position on the field. And so there's something to go along there with their player development that's not happening.
This could be a season that Chiswick's finding himself out the door, because next week is Louisiana Monroe, and we already saw what they did to the number 8 team in the country.
Man, could you imagine him in his office, sitting there trying to break down the film for, kind of seeing what they've done wrong. He hadn't even looked at the film, and, the manager guy comes in and goes, Louisiana Monroe just beat Arkansas. And I could just see his head just hitting the desk. It's just interesting. And the strange thing about our Auburn is defensively, that's what he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the defensive guy, and their defense is just terrible.
And let's look. So Louisiana Monroe, who knows if that's a fluke or what? But they beat
They're 1-5.
They that one is Arkansas, so they can beat a big time opponent. So who knows what that game's going to hold next week?
I mean, Louisiana Monroe has nothing but just, hey, they're just going to strap it on and let's just go, buddy. We've already gotten our gym. Let's just see if we can go knock off another one.
Yeah, we've done it once. Let's see if we can do it twice. Then they got LSU. Then they have Arkansas. Then they have Mississippi, Vanderbilt, A&M. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
They
got Georgia, LSU, Alabama.
Yeah, Georgia. And Georgia and Alabama are late in the schedule, so it's not looking good for. He's going to have to turn it around, and he's still got time. I mean, it's funny, we're sitting here in week 2 saying that, Chizik's fighting for his job, but
2 years removed from a national championship. His seat is hot, and I don't know if they would be willing. He's got a $10 million buyout, so I don't know if they'd be willing to get rid of him this year. But he would by far start the year next year as the hottest seat in college football. He would be Derek Dooley next year if Derek Dooley doesn't finish out what he started so far.
Well, let's talk about that. That's the other team we didn't talk about, Dooley's.
Yeah, I mean.
And there's not a lot to say other than they were impressive, put up some huge numbers.
Still big concerns. That's why I wish Drew was on here, because I'd like to get his point of view with regards to the run game. Georgia State, forgot who they played, South Carolina State or somebody they played the first game, had more rushing yards than Tennessee did against them, which is a huge stat to me that I saw. That was kind of the big thing that came out of this. They blew them out, 51-13.
Right.
Wasn't really a contest, breakthrough for tons of yards.
But there again, we saw, to me, that's the SEC overpowering the second quarter, or the second half, because that first half was pretty close. Kentucky was too at Kent State, so I can't,
I think the thing that we're going to have to find out, and this is, I think this leads into, I think this may help transition us into next week's games, but Tennessee and Florida, this is such an intriguing matchup to me, because Tennessee, they still got to prove to everybody that they can run the football, right?
Yes.
And they've got an offensive line that is big, that's supposed to, experienced, that are highly recruited. And to me, they're still not getting the push. I mean, we were having the same conversation about the professional team here in Nashville with the Tennessee Titans and Chris Johnson and all that stuff. They're going to have to run the football. Now, North Carolina State, they purposely went on the edge because they could just outspeed them, out-athlete them, I think, on the edge. And so they didn't run a lot between the tackles. So that's going to be the interesting thing, man. I'm really interested to see. And then what Florida did to kind of change their game plan midway and adjust, and the great adjustments they made, they shut down Texas A&M, who I'm going to tell you right now has a stud running back.
Yes.
And so I still think Tennessee's still going to have to show that they can run the football at some point. So that's what I think coming out of this thing. I think Tennessee's so far ahead in the offensive passing game. They got to be able to run the football. Florida, that's going to be kind of their strength. They kind of gathered it, but they're still kind of wishy-washy on offense. And Tennessee,
this has now turned out to be the game to watch. And if you look at what we picked the first 4 weeks or the first 3 weeks games to watch, this wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
But it now has become one because you got 2 top 25 programs. If you're looking at the AP, you've got, like you said, it's going to be an offensive versus defensive matchup, and see which one actually can win out. From the Tennessee standpoint,
I mean, and from a fan standpoint,
I'm excited.
I'm excited about it too, and I think from a fan standpoint, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'd like to know what Drew's. Are you excited about being ranked in the top 25 2 games into it? Is it, I mean, 14 days ago, we were still trying to figure out if Derek Dooley, should even be coaching. You know,
Yes.
and now he's in the
Or
top
how many
25.
wins? How many wins does he have to have to keep his job
for the first time in 4 years? And then so, what happens if Florida walks into there and gets a win, and now you got to go.
Now you're
play,
on the
now you got to go play Georgia.
Now
in
you're
a
on the
couple
roller
weeks.
coaster.
Yeah, I mean you got to go to Georgia, and you got to go to Mississippi State, and so.
And you have Alabama at home.
Yeah, I mean it's
South
just,
Carolina. I mean
that's the 4-game
that's
stretch.
a brutal 4-game stretch. Yeah, I mean you got.
So this game is a big game, and so I'm interested to see. I think this is going to be a good game, and I think for a Tennessee fan, I mean Cordell Patterson, however you say his first name, Cordell, he is everything you could have ever imagined.
Yeah,
I mean he is.
They're not missing Rodgers at all, and
so you hope he keeps kind of doing what he's doing, but I mean,
and he's a JUCO transfer, is that right?
Yeah, and so a lot of those JUCO guys, it takes them a little bit to kind of get feeling in and whatever. I mean, he just hit the ground running,
literally.
Yeah, and so I think he's been kind of a unique surprise for them. So I'm excited about it. I think Muschamp needs the win. I mean, he dodged a big bullet by coming back and somehow figuring out how to win that game.
Oh yeah, because I mean, now we'd be having the same conversation we're having with Auburn about Florida if he would have lost. Because now we're looking at Florida going to Tennessee with a possible loss in their belt, and Week 4 wasn't any better for them, I don't think. Give me a second, I can tell you what that was, but let's see, 1 second here. Florida would have had. Oh, Kentucky. Never mind. Yeah, I'm right.
That's the one that you picked as a W, right?
I did actually. But it's a different Tennessee than I thought. I mean, both really, but a different Tennessee and a different Florida program than I thought that they were going to be at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think
I was expecting Tennessee to be better.
Yeah.
So that part's not surprised me. Their offense is really, really clicking.
Yeah.
And that just shows how much that Tyler Bray's improved, and he wasn't bad last year before he got hurt.
The thing about Tyler Bray, I saw a stat, and I may have mentioned this last time we were on, but he's 9-4 as a starter. No, he's now 10-4, I guess, now as a starter. And in those 10 games, he's something like 64% completion percentage and something ridiculous like 34 touchdowns to like 6 interceptions. But the 4 losses, he's completing about 54% or 52%. And he is, 9 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. So he's the guy that all of a sudden, if he's off just a little bit and he throws a pick here, it's the game that you worry about. There's the game that he may be a little bit off, and he's going to have to actually fight through it. So it's kind of interesting how when he starts throwing some interceptions, it kind of changes the game a little bit for him. But I still think they got to run the football, and so I think that's going to be a big key to see on Saturday.
Well, let's look at the rest of the games on this week's lineup. We've kind of mentioned most of them to some degree, but looking at the early lines on some of these, we've got Auburn Auburn's hosting Louisiana Monroe, and that's 16.5 points. You think there would have been anything close to that with an Arkansas victory the way it was supposed to happen?
I tell you what, I think Auburn wins the game because I think Louisiana Monroe, I don't think they can
do it twice.
Yeah, I don't think they can just come down and be able to get ready to play again because I think it was such. I mean, that was
that's a drain.
That's a program,
and it went to overtime. I mean, that's a big mental drain for some guys that aren't expecting to play.
Auburn, the problem with Auburn offensively, they're just a disaster. Kyle Frazier reminds me of Omar Connor for Mississippi State, trying to actually run the West Coast offense when he was kind of a read option guy from high school. He was literally a square peg trying to be shoved slap dab through a round hole, and I just don't have a clue. I mean, Kyle Frazier is got no confidence. They were petrified to throw the football. On Saturday, they were not running the football well. So, I mean, it's offensive line is a disaster. The secondary is awful. They got a lot of problems. And the thing that could be interesting is if Louisiana Monroe goes, we're just going to run in here, and all of a sudden they put 14 points on the board, and then Auburn's like, oh, here we go, and it gets a little bit tight. It could kind of get interesting quick, but I think they win this ball game, but I don't think they cover a spread.
That's the thing is if they do win, I don't think they can cover 16.5. That's over 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's a big number, and I could just be.
I mean, with a quarterback that can't. I mean, he literally is struggling. And how bad is Clint Mosley? Is he hurt or something?
I have no idea.
I mean, he's got to just be awful to not even get in the game.
But I also think that, yes, I do feel like it's going to be tough for Monroe to have to get back up again for this game. And I'm going to have you check your video because I've lost your video feed somewhere along the line here. But I think Monroe is a program that you said they're 1-5. But that win against Arkansas, I mean, that can do wonders for some young kids on a program that's not supposed to be able to do what they're doing on a regular basis. They could catch a little fire in the bottle, and all of a sudden, Auburn is beatable. Mississippi just beat them. Clemson just beat them. Guys, we can do this.
Yeah.
That's what you're going in as a coach and say, guys, we can make Auburn go 0-3. So you got a lot of stuff that you can put on these guys and get them to believe in. And can they win? It's going to be hard, but it's going to be a lot easier to cover 16.5.
Right.
I do see that. The next one up I've got is Vanderbilt on Presbyterian. There's not even a line on that one right now. Get that volume.
There we go.
All right. Thank you, sir. We are doing the podcast in the same room on 2 different computers, so we wanted to keep doing this Google Hangout, see how that keeps working for a video version of it versus our other video. But Vanderbilt with Presbyterians, there's not even a line on the board for that game. So we know Vanderbilt's going to cover that one. So
yeah, they're going to take some frustration out.
Yeah, but the next one that I'm looking at least on our Pick'em site, has Alabama at Arkansas, and Vegas won't put a line on that one yet.
Yeah.
And
Tyler Wilson.
Tyler Wilson, that's exactly right. They don't put any. So we're not going to see anything on that one until probably Wednesday, maybe.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I don't care what the line is. I mean, right now, the thing about it is, I think Alabama is on a mean streak right now.
Well, and like Saban blasted the media, and I don't think it was intended at us, but because I don't know if we're media or not. They won't give us credentials, so we're not media. Yeah. We're just some hacks with a computer.
Exactly.
That know a lot.
Yeah.
Or at least we think.
What was it he said when he's talking about the tickets? Did you hear that part of?
Yeah, all the.
Well, we got 1,000 tickets still for sale. Well, we don't win enough ball games around here. I guess I'll just buy them up, give them away or something. Just. I think he was trying to be tongue in cheek, but I think Saban.
And then he was talking about the respect that they were not giving the other teams and programs.
So can we go ahead and say that Western Kentucky was outmanned, that Alabama was a bigger, stronger, faster team than Western Kentucky? I mean, I think we can legitimately say that now, right? I mean,
at times,
yeah,
but not every time.
Yeah,
they were, but I think a lot of that was Saban was upset with the fact that before their win week 1, they weren't in the national title mix.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, since they had that win,
they're the national champion.
Exactly. So they're anointing them national champions again, where they weren't giving them a snowball's chance. The week prior, the day prior.
I mean, I
think he was a little frustrated with that as well.
I think he also understands that he's got a fan base that he has to work all the time to kind of bring those things back down to the earth. I think Alabama fans will tell you that. I mean, I think everybody else will tell you that
they're Jackie Gleason straight to the moon.
When they're rolling. I mean, it's kind of like UK on the basketball side of things. They'll let you know that they are number one, and if they, when they're rolling, they're going to let you know about it. And so,
but that's where Saban and Calipari both are geniuses.
Yeah.
I mean, because Calipari, when they're number one, it's just like it's a matter of time. We've still got some tough matchups. There's a couple more losses coming our way, and he's not only trying to use that to, tell his guys they're not playing good enough. Right. But it's also to keep the fan expectations from being so astronomically high that they become unrealistic. Yeah. So, and Saban's doing the same thing.
And I think he also knows that he may have not worked them as hard as he should have the year after they won the national championship when they lost the three games.
10
and they really had, one of the better teams. And I think he's not going to make that mistake. And so I think they go into Arkansas with Arkansas down, and I don't think it's a close game.
And that's the other thing I was going to say was that you see Saban, and we've talked about this on a number of podcasts, he's not one to run a score up.
Right.
And especially against a program like a Western Kentucky or something like that. Tomorrow or Saturday, forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to Jersey here. Forget about it. We're going to score as many points as we can, and you just try to stop us. Because it's Arkansas. I mean, they were ranked preseason number 8. There's a lot of proving to be done early in the season here. It's a way for Nick Saban to really kibosh Arkansas. I mean, talk about hitting somebody while they're down. They lose to Monroe, and all of a sudden they come in, and Alabama comes right back up to Fayetteville and beats them down.
Yeah. I mean
that could get ugly.
Yeah. I mean, who would have thought after 3 weeks? I mean, because Arkansas is going to be 1-2. I mean, there's no ifs, ands,
none. It's
questions
just how
about it.
many.
And I mean, who would have thought that Arkansas is going to be 1-2, and Auburn is going to have to be fighting tooth and nail to get to 1-2. I mean, it's just kind of interesting, when you take a look at it. And but I think CBS is just shaking their head, going, "Man, I'd love to have that." ESPN's going, that 5 o'clock
looking good
6 Eastern Tennessee Florida game is just going to be
looking good.
God,
from
man.
The Dazed and Confused and the baseball.
That's right.
Boys are looking good. Well, you're right. CBS is wishing they had that flex schedule in place.
Oh yeah.
Week 3. But ESPN, they gotta love it because they just up and said we're moving game day.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah.
And by the way, we get to have that game. So, at least it's a short. You think what's his name's going to drive from Nashville? Herb Street, or is he gonna get a chartered?
That's right, man. Yeah,
a Nashvilleian now. He's a Nashvilleian.
Yeah, he's a Brentwood guy.
So moving on, but yeah, I'm curious to see later on in the week when number comes out. You're right. It's hinging on Wilson, but either way, Alabama. It's going to have to be a big number for me to have to try to take Arkansas on that one.
Yeah.
A&M's going to SMU and are given 13.5.
Yeah.
I think that's another program that after the Florida game, they're not going to try to hold up anything.
Yeah. And it's their second game.
Yeah.
Instead of the third game, and so
and SMU just going to have to watch out because that's going to be a 3-touchdown win.
Yeah.
Tennessee's giving 2.5 against number 18th ranked Florida. We've already discussed this back and forth. You look at that, you get 3 points for a home victory that's the general rule.
Yeah.
So that if you look at it that way, neutral site, Florida's favored by a half point.
Right. It's just because
it pains me to say, but I think I have to flow Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's both teams are easy to hate.
So hopefully
from an East standpoint, if you look at anybody in the East, it's easy to hate Tennessee and it's easy to hate Florida. So
hopefully Tennessee's going to have more than 89,000 that they had for the. I think they'll have more than 89,000 this week.
Yeah, I was talking to some guys. They were trying to any way they could get that game that was on because that was their one pay-per-view game.
Yeah.
So the good news for Tennessee fans is the rest of the games are going to be on ESPN or better here on out. So get that pay-per-view game out of the way early.
There you go.
Missouri is
don't they have like
hosting Arizona State?
Yeah, I don't know anything about Arizona State.
Didn't they have some? Didn't Arizona State play somebody in the SEC earlier this year?
I don't.
Or I'm imagining that because that was no.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that because I was putting that as my fourth game to watch this week, and that disappeared because of the Tennessee.
Yeah, I don't know much about Arizona State. What's the line on that right now?
Well, they won their first game against Northern Arizona 63-6. They beat Illinois 45-14. And the line is Missouri's giving 7.
Jeez.
That's a hard one.
It's
at Missouri.
Wow.
But Arizona can put up some points. I know some of those programs. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not the same Illinois team that they used to be, but it's still a Big Ten football
they
program.
don't have Ron Zook.
Yeah.
It's no Ron Zook.
That's
there
no
anymore.
Ron Zook, Illinois. That one's going to be.
Yeah, that's just a crapshoot. I don't know. I'm not making a guess on that one.
We're going to have to wait till later to throw that one.
I'm going to watch that line.
Yeah, we'll watch that line, see where it ends up. Kentucky is hosting Western Kentucky and giving 7. I think they've corrected a lot of things. Last year's set's really bad for Kentucky fans. I mean, they were miserable trying to score when it was here in Nashville.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to let that try to happen again.
And so that's back at Commonwealth, right?
Yes. Yeah, this was.
When do they come back to Nashville? Next year, or is it?
I think it was just a
couple
home and
years
home. Or was it a 4-year
I
series?
think it's a 4-year series, but I don't think it was 4 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken. I think
So they
y'all
take
had
a
to
year
stretch
off
it. I
and
think
then-
you had to stretch it out some. So, but that's neither here nor there. But that's not part of this week's game. But
I do think Kentucky can cover that. South Carolina is
they're going to monkey slap UAB.
33.5. I just hate big numbers like that. That's not as big
Well,
as
Spurry, if he can just throw that ball around with that boy and just get it in there, that's all he wants to do.
he's not afraid to do that. I still probably I'm siding with you. I don't think that UAB is going to be able to put up anywhere close to the points to compete
The thing about
with those
South
guys.
Carolina is their defense is just ridiculous.
Yeah. So they just have to score 37.
Yeah, exactly. That's all.
Mississippi State's giving 16.5 against Troy.
Yeah, at Troy.
At Troy, still, I'm taking Mississippi State in that ball game.
Yeah, I think. It's. I don't think there's any type of letdown.
I don't either.
On these guys, I think it's a total different deal.
But Mullen, as he said, as soon as the game ended to the reporters, we're number 1 in the West right now.
That's right.
So, now he's tied for number 1 of the West. Right.
That's right.
So I'm like you. I don't think you're going to see a letdown off because last year they had some letdowns off of some wins, and I think that you're going to see Mississippi State learn from some of those mistakes last year, and not run into that. Georgia there's no line on that one. Florida Atlantic, so we'll just go on to the next one where there is a line, and I'm surprised. Idaho is coming to Death Valley. It's a night game. And they're getting 42.5 points. But
I don't know, man. LSU, they're kind of Jekyll and Hyde. Sometimes they don't. That's a large number.
It is, but they put up 41 against Washington.
Yeah.
And only gave up 3. So their defense is
I don't know if the coach from Idaho is putting a tiger in his practice either. So. And they're not the Pac-10.
I'm scared of that number, but
Pac-12.
right now I'm leaning Idaho, but I might lean the other way if that line stays like that. And they can cover it, and I hate going all favorites, but taking favorites with those kind of numbers is scary.
This is the part of the game where picking the spread is the most difficult.
Yeah, with those
big mismatches.
I think it's easier sometimes when you get them under a touchdown to pick a winner. But when you get these, when they're that many points, that's a hard game to. It just shows you where and we've talked about how they do these. It's just that's where the money is. They've got to do those lines out high to get the money to go the other way.
Yeah.
And then Texas is coming to Mississippi and giving 10.5. Mississippi's better than I was expecting them to be, but they're not going to be.
I think defensively, I think offensively, I think it's funny. I hear from my Ole Miss friends, this looks like a team that actually they actually practiced during the week and they look like they got a game plan. You know, I mean, the Houston Nutt era just was a debacle at the end. And so, I mean, Freeze's offense is all about high completion percentage and getting out and going, and this kid has, you know, been everything that he's supposedly going to be quarterback-wise. So I think they can actually put some points. I think Ole Miss is going to lose games that are going to be like 42-28.
Those shootouts?
Yeah, that I think they can actually put some points on, but I don't think they're going to be able to put up as many points because their defense is just not going to be able to manage over time, you know, to hold on. I mean, they're going to be able to. I mean, Texas is going to be able to run all over them and do those types of things. But it's going to be a great atmosphere, I think. I mean, 8:15 game Central Time. So it's a 9:15 Eastern. I mean, that's a late game in Oxford. Being in the Grove all day. Texas is supposedly just bringing a ridiculous crowd. So
that's not, how far a drive is that from
it's a long flipping way.
Is it?
Yeah, because Ole Miss is on the other side of the state.
Yeah, I guess it is.
So I mean from.
And Austin's way down there. I mean, it's an hour south of San Antonio. Yeah. So,
I mean, you're talking a good 12, 14 hours probably. That's a long. Yeah, that's a long ways.
Well, that's the next week's game, so it's exciting.
I mean, it's not a really big matchup week. I mean,
no.
the Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida was really the games. And now that one of them's kind of turned into a little bit of a crapshoot. So,
but it's going to be a good week. I mean, it's if anything, you got to love it when already week 2 you've got some really exciting action that's totally flip flopping. The SEC, and you know you've still got the one or two teams at the top, but you know some of those other teams, the positions are completely changing on them, and so it's been exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think you hit that on the head. I mean, I think my observations after the first couple of weeks are LSU and Alabama are up there. Georgia and South Carolina are who we think they are, the kind of the cream of the East. But I think Tennessee, I think Mississippi State is better than what most people think after seeing the Auburn. I think Auburn, Arkansas, obviously, are not where people thought they were going to be. And but I think
Vanderbilt's not what we thought they were.
I think Tennessee and Mississippi State so far through 2 games have made the biggest leap in to try to say, hey, we're going to try to come join the second tier guys and try to make a run at this thing. And we've got some of these others that are kind of possibly falling back to the pack some. But it's interesting. I'm going to be interested to see probably next 3 weeks on how this thing kind of folds out. Because right now you got Alabama and LSU and Georgia and South Carolina, and then really everybody else is kind of in there. So
yeah, you're now talking about they're fighting for Capital One Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's fun. It's why we do the podcast is because it's so much fun. I'll do a couple of housekeeping things if anyone's still listening. I thank you for listening as long as you have. These podcasts, they do get longer as the season starts just because there's so much to talk about. And so if you're still listening, and thank you guys so much for joining in. I did, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, it's not too late to get out there and join our picks. We're on Yahoo this year. And so if you want to join in and make picks against the spread and see how well you do, just email comments at SEC Sports Roundtable. and I'll be happy to get you the information so you can join in. But, just in the last couple of days, there's been 5 guys that want to join in. I want to give a shout-out to Jason, to Charles, to Nick, and to, of course, he uses a crazy email address, so it's going to be gcouch. But thank you guys so much for wanting to join in on the Pick'em. I know 1 or 2 of you guys have already signed up. I've sent you that information out. Sorry that the information didn't get out fast enough. There was some problems with that email getting sent to me correctly, but I've got that fixed, or at least I'm bypassing it. So thank you guys for joining in. Like I said, if you want to, it's still not too late to join in and make those picks. If you are listening to this podcast on iTunes, thank you. Ask a favor of you. If you are listening to this on iTunes, please go out there and review or rate this podcast so we can keep that ranking. If you do a search for SEC Sports, it's pretty high up there, but and we're up against some ranks of like some CBS or ESPN podcasts, and I know that we're up there because we're one of the only podcasts out there on iTunes that focuses strictly on just the SEC. So thank you guys for getting us up there. And if you do give us a review, we'd greatly appreciate getting that up there and keeping that high ranking we have. But if you want to watch this, we do a video version of this. Right now we're trying out Google Hangouts. So we actually do these live. And so you actually could join in if you wanted to and participate possibly. But, what we do with it is then posted on our YouTube channel, SECSRT. Look for tweets from us on Twitter at SECSRT. That's our Twitter handle. As well as our Facebook page. We put posts up there, but we also have the video and audio versions of the podcast available for you there, as well as Stitcher Radio. Anywhere you can get an RSS feed, you should be able to find the audio podcasts out there, as well as the video podcast. There's an RSS feed for that as well. So thank you guys so much for listening in. To say excited that football started is an understatement. Really into high gear in week 2, and we love that. So it's time right now for our open mic segment. And so, Blair, I know you went to Mississippi State game Saturday. That's probably anything else you want to talk about, or is that what you want to talk about?
It was a good time. Got to see a bunch of family and got to tailgate. Got out there about 6:30 in the morning and for 11A kick, and stayed out there till roughly about 4:30, and got to go watch football after that, and so it was a pretty good Saturday. So I enjoyed it, and it's always good to get a good win. And the forearm is sore today.
Ringing the bell,
ringing that cowbell.
How'd your dad like his?
Dad, he likes his. His is so nice that it doesn't travel to games.
Oh, okay.
It's more of a talking piece on the trophy case for him, so to speak. So
gotcha.
It's we had a good time. My cousin got to tell a Mississippi State fan to shut up in the stands, and
wonderful.
The guy was a little bit offended after screaming like an idiot forever, and he didn't say a word afterwards. So, but he was a big guy. He wasn't going to exert energy to come down 4 rows and do anything to us. So, but he was obnoxious, and we got about 20 people that clapped when he told him to shut up. So I think everybody was ready for him to shut up. So, but it was fun. So thought we were going to get to possibly get in a little bit of an argument, which would have been nice. The wife would have been proud.
Yeah, I bet. I could see that. I could see that definitely unfolding. And that wouldn't have been good in your favor. I could promise you that. Well, I'll end the podcast with my story of Saturday. I watched football all day on a ladder. My wife has been asking for a room to be painted, and finally decided to give in. And there's just something I don't like about painting, and I don't know what it is. I'm not an expert at it, but to make a room look right, I really don't get where the gimmick is and how all of this is supposed to work, because that thing has 5 coats of paint on it, new coats of paint on it today. It took 2 coats of primer to get rid of the brown that it was, and it wasn't like a dark brown or bright brown. It was just a brown. Took 2 coats of primer to cover most of that up, and 3 coats of the final coat of paint, which was another variation of the color white, to get on there so that it finally all blended in. So I don't know where they come up with this 1 coat technology.
Well, I can tell you, dude. See, I need to teach you some things. I know about painting. I'm actually pretty good at it. But
I'm apparently not, because
that's what my grandfather did. So my father is the guy that doesn't use any tape or anything. He is. I didn't
have to tape it.
Roll by and do the edging pretty easily, and so I've come by honest because I had to paint everything with him when I grew up. So I'm
gonna ask you to quit shaking the tape.
Okay.
I'm getting dizzy watching myself there. But that was my Saturday. I love my iPad. I threw the Watch ESPN app up and
nice.
Was able to just keep it in there, and wherever I moved, it was able to move with me. So
that's hilarious.
So I watched all the games I wanted to, and it took all day to paint, because I ended up taking lots of breaks to go, oh, that's a good play. It's like, oh, I got to see what happens next, and before I know it, the paint's dripping down the roller or something. But I was just so excited that football was here. I had to celebrate with some beer and hot wings. So it was a good Saturday. So with that, we want to thank everyone one last time for listening in and watching, and we are going to call this podcast done.